G'day and welcome back to World's Best Physio, which is the search to find the world's best physiotherapist. We are defining that as the physiotherapist who can deliver a world standard of physiotherapy to every human on this planet and the next planet at near zero cost. We believe that a chat AI has a very good chance of achieving that title, although it could be a human. We'll never know until it happens. So today we're going to figure out, can ChatGPT diagnose and treat one of the most common types of lower back pain? This is a type of back pain we see at Exercise Thought every day. And it's something that we're very comfortable with. It's something that's been well documented in the physiotherapy community, well documented in terms of we know exactly how it presents, we know how to diagnose it, and we know how to treat it. Can an AI do the same? Let's find out. I've written a prompt into ChatGPT which says, you are a physiotherapist, a client presents with discogenic low back pain. What subjective and objective features will they present with? Subjective, of course, is what a client tells us. That's the conversation that we have with them, their subjective point of view, their personal experience. And then the objective features is what we are observing, what we can assess in a consultation with that client. So that could be their range of movement, or it could be how strong they are. And then the second part of the prompt is, what evidence-based treatments will you recommend as treatment? So let's see what ChatGPT comes up with, and we'll see how accurate it is. There's some jargon in here, some professional lingo, which I'll translate for those of you who are not physiotherapists, but I know many of you are actually studying physiotherapy or practicing. So centralized low back pain, yep, that fits. It is usually unilateral. Usually it is off to one side. Non-radicular means that it's typically just contained to the lower back and not extending down the leg, although sometimes we have that sciatic symptom of pain going all the way down the leg, or at least below the buttock. They're mentioning that there is sometimes some referral, which we would describe as a somatic referral, into the lumbar spine or the sacral area. Deep aching, yep, that fits. Worse with sitting, bending, and prolonged postures. That does fit with the clients we see in the clinic. Sometimes an instability or catching feeling. This is not something that I've heard very often from clients, but this, I suppose, catching pain is something that clients do experience. Aggravating, yeah, definitely sitting, especially when slouched. So like a soft couch or driving in a car for a long time is a pretty common one as well. Flexion-based activities, yep, that fits. Static postures is interesting. We don't so often hear clients talk about that, but I suppose some people do say if they stand in one position, that can make their back sore when they have this kind of back pain. And coughing or sneezing definitely is a factor. Uh, Easing, that means relief of symptoms with standing or walking, laying, supine, or flexion. I've just realized that I've not been sharing my screen. Um, so let me show you here that this is ChatGPT's response. Um, Rookie error. Won't do that next time. Uh, and avoiding flexion is also an easing factor as well. Yeah, I agree with that. What about the history? Gradual or sudden onset? Yeah, look, I'd say I've never met a client who said that they hurt their back lifting a piano. Most of the time, it's they put a spoon into the dishwasher or something really innocuous, but on the background of having done lots of sitting or lots of bending or being fatigued, and then there was just that straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak. Typically, they are a younger adult. We don't see this very much at all in teenagers or in older adults. So I would say subjectively, it's bang on. I'd say ChatGPT has got full marks there. And we know that the subjective features are more helpful in diagnosing than the objective features in a lot of cases. And I would say in this case as well. So Full marks to ChatGPT. If you have low back pain and you ask ChatGPT to diagnose you and you have discogenic low back pain, I'd say that there's a very good chance that it'll give you the correct diagnosis. Objective features, lumbar flatness or guarding. Yeah, that's pretty common. Pain reproduced with lumbar flexion movements and relief with extension. Yes. Oh, we've even mentioned the Mackenzie style coming out from New Zealand. A physiotherapist by the name of Robert Mackenzie did a lot of research and wrote some good books on the treatment of discogenic back pain. Neurological testing, yeah, it is normally negative, although sometimes we can get this crossover sign, which is relevant for, I suppose, more advanced disc presentations and localized tensor over the lumbar spine, difficulty lifting and sitting intolerance. Absolutely. So, objectively, again, that they're hitting the mark. I would say the neurological stuff can vary. Sometimes we can get a positive straight leg raise or a positive slump test. Although some would argue that it's not the nerve that is producing the symptoms in those tests, and because it's not the nerve, therefore it's not positive as a neurological test. But positive in my eyes is a test that reproduces the patient's symptoms. So if a slump test or a straight leg race produced the symptoms or reproduced the symptoms, then it could be said to be positive as well. What have we got in terms of treatment? Reassurance, yeah, it's not a dangerous thing. It does recover, avoiding, yeah, fear avoids. We don't want them to be overprotective. We don't want them to become anxious or worried about their spine. So, yeah, that's a very good thing to throw in there first. Encourage walking. Yep. Encourage extension movements and relative rest from aggravating flexion. So not complete rest from sitting, not complete rest from flexion, but just enough to get the pain under control and to start recovery. We've got some, yeah, it's interesting here. So they're mentioning progressively grading towards lumbar flexion. I would say you'd probably want to focus on extension as point number one and then later on gradually expose towards lumbar flexion, but maybe that's just a matter of how what the sequence is of listing this. Core stabilization exercises is interesting. Stuart McGill in the States has done a lot of research on this and definitely encourages things like bird dogs and side planks and little abdominal roll-ups, not sit-ups, it should be said. I found some clients are just too sore getting in and out of the position that they need to be in to start the exercises. And sometimes they just brace and put too much pressure through their abdomen. And we know that intra-abdominal pressure, as per coughing and sneezing, can increase the stress on the disc and increase symptoms. So that's something I don't rush towards in the first session, but certainly it is an important part of rehab. Manual therapy is a big thing from the client's perspective. They really want that hands-on treatment. So in terms of building a good relationship with your client, I would definitely recommend that. It's not something that ChatGPT can perform just yet, but who knows? ChatGPT animating a Tesla robot, for example, could very well perform a massage. We know that those robots have the dexterity to hold and crack open an egg, so they certainly would be able to do a massage. Screening for yellow flags. Yeah, this is really important because if someone's depressed or if they're fear avoidant, then that is going to influence how easily their physiology, their nervous system can relax. And we know that that relaxation is necessary for healing. We need to get that parasympathetic system working. And then some CBT or cognitive behavioral therapy principles, which is just really about yeah, graduated exposure to things and people recognizing that their thoughts have an influence over their recovery and then returning to function. Really important to articulate the end result, the goal that we're aiming for in the first session. So client comes in with lower back pain, it's diagnosed, but we need to say that you will get back to deadlifting, you will get back to doing A, B, and C, and this is how we're going to do it. Having that clear goal and having that encouragement, that reassurance that they are going to get back to a full recovery is a really important part of the recovery process. So let's let's carry on with adjunct therapies, heat and ice packs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatories. I'm not sure that these are necessary in most cases. An MRI can be tricky because if you get an MRI for someone who's got a pronounced disc bulge, um, that can make them worry about their spine. And we know from good publications, from good research, that if you rescan them 6 to 8 weeks later, the majority of those disc bulges have recovered. The disc has shrunk back down to its usual size and is no longer bulging. Um, but what happens is that we typically scan them when they're sore, and then when they're no longer symptomatic, we don't scan them. So they only see the image of the disc being bulged. They only see the image of their spine being injured, and and that has I suppose it makes an impression on them. And you can't really undo that impression. One, because you're not rescanning them, but two, the positive news of being told that your disc is healthy again is not as impactful as being told that your disc is injured. So I'd say overall, ChatGPT gets an excellent score here. In fact, I would say it gets an 8 out of 10. There are some sequencing in the treatment phase that I would suggest should be reordered. But in terms of the diagnosis, subjectively and objectively, it's doing very well. So if you can't or won't see a physio face to face and you go to ChatGPT, you're probably going to get a pretty good experience. But if you want that hands-on treatment, if you want that professional guidance and you want that compassion from a qualified professional, then definitely a physiotherapist is a good place to go. If you have any questions about that, you have any comments, you have any jokes, please get in touch. Either pop a comment below the video or send an email to sam@exercisethought.com. This is the search to find the world's best physio. If you know the world's best physio, please do send me an email so I can interview them. And if you yourself are the world's best physio, please also send an email. Bye for now, and looking forward to next time.